Welcome to the Wartime MMA podcast. It is your boy Alex, Mike, and Tony. We're here for UFC Atlanta. Main event is Usman versus Buckley. We're going to start early prelims, go to the main event. And our first early prelim is a women's fight, which is always great to watch right as you open. You know, it pretty much just starts 30 minutes later, 15 minutes later than it tells you to, because everybody skips this bullshit. Let's be real. How are they going to advertise a stripper woman as hot? She ain't got no ass. You know what I mean? And let's be real. She ain't got no much else either. And, you know, she's 36. Wins all for fucking barely, just based on Dana White probably smashing. And, you know, props to her. She's won a career off of it. But Vanessa Demopoulos is somebody who just strikes me as somebody at some point got tired of stripping and just like, I need a new job. And found the UFC. So I think that's kind of Vanessa Demopoulos' story, and I think she'd probably tell you that too, probably just in a nicer way. But Jamie Lynn Horth is somebody who I feel like is probably a little bit more serious about MMA. I feel, you know, she probably wasn't stripping before this. I always feel like that's a pro. You know, I feel like girls that are like strippers or OnlyFans, they kind of do this stuff for a means to an end. And they're just doing it for the money, whereas I feel like Jamie Lynn Horth might actually like enjoy martial arts and have a career of doing it since she's a kid, stuff like that. And I want to say she's 2 losses in the UFC. One is against Veronica Macedo, and the other one was against somebody who was even better. I want to say it was what was her last fight? I forgot who it was. Jamie Lynn Horth lost to somebody relatively okay.
Miranda Maverick.
But yeah, that's who it was. So you know, I'm okay with that. Veronica Macedo's pretty technical as well, and I just think she's overall better than Demopoulos is. You know, when you beat Demopoulos clear, there's no way they can rig it for her. And I think the UFC's kind of getting tired of that. You know, she's not going to be anything. She's getting older. She's mid in both ways. She's not hot, even though they try to advertise it as that. She's just like a pick-me girl that's able to like sell the moment based on jumping into Joe Rogan's arms. Still mid. I got Jamie Lynn Horth by decision. I'm going to go 30-27. Just boring. Holds her down in the he needs to, lands more significant strikes, hold her up against the clinch, gets the takedowns. Jamie Lynn Horth just has better game, I think. I'm gonna go her decision.
I'm siding with Alex. I think Jamie Lynn Horth is gonna cook Demopoulos. Demopoulos is just shit. Don't know why she's even in the UFC, but you know my signature move here when it comes to women's MMA. I just keep it short and simple about that shit, so I ain't got nothing else to say about that. I got Jamie Lynn Horth by decision in typical women's MMA fashion.
Yeah, first fight of the night, first clean sweep of the card. I'm going to go with Jamie Lynn Horth as well. I agree with pretty much Alex and Mike's breakdown of the fight. I think Jamie Lynn Horth just takes her career more seriously. The only edge I could really give towards Demopoulos is that in close decision scenarios, she's found a way to stay relevant in terms of winning, or at least staying above 500 and like a winning margin. And experience. She's like 11-7 to Jamie Lynn Horth 7-2, but no real need for a major breakdown on this one. I just think Jamie Lynn Horth is bigger, more technical on the feet, and if she's able to defend the takedowns, I feel like she has an opportunity to potentially get a big finish on Demopoulos. I'm gonna go Jamie Lynn Horth by decision. I think she's just bigger, more inflicting of damage on the feet, and more visible, and like I said, if Demopoulos can't get takedowns, I don't really see how she competes in this fight, so I'm going to go with a Jamie Lynn Horth decision win, 30-27.
Next fight we got Phil Rowe taking on Angelusa. I just heard about this today. Angelusa's the favorite. I don't know how. I'm going to go with Phil Rowe here. I think Phil Rowe is just got that style where Angelusa just looks shit against, like the taller, rangier fighters like Phil Rowe. Phil Rowe's also been working on his grappling too. I rate that highly. Even though he hasn't been winning the grappling matches, he's only losing to Craig Jones and other good jiu-jitsu technicianers. I think Phil Rowe's going to knock out Angelusa. Me personally, I've seen Angelusa get knocked out before, especially Reese McKee was giving him work in the third round. Yeah, he was fucking up Reese McKee, but if you can't knock out a gassed out, beaten up, deprived Reese McKee, I don't rate that highly. I think if that was any other people, I would say they would get the job done. And also the Brian Battle thing. You have to take that into perspective too. Brian Battle he's probably not around the same frame as Phil Rowe, but he is tall and lanky. Not lanky, but somewhat in a way. But yeah, enough of me yapping. I got Phil Rowe. I'm gonna go with second or third round TKO.
It's a tough fight, but I think I'm going to have to go Phil Rowe here. I think he's probably just better overall. I really don't like Angelusa getting dog walked by that like that by Brian Battle. And I know Brian Battle's good, but he usually doesn't do that to people that early, where he just goes in and styles on him with the hands. Angelusa, we always thought he was pretty decent because of the Contender Series fight against JDM. JDM's pretty damn good, as we know. He's the champ. But he just really hasn't captured that back. All of his wins aren't over really great competition, and all of his losses are honestly not that great out of competition either, outside of ADM, and maybe there's another one in there. But I just think Phil Rowe keeps it at range with his jab. I like that he's been spending time in these jiu-jitsu competitions grappling against some of the best grapplers there is, like Gordon Ryan and Craig Jones. And, even though he got smoked by those guys, I put value in his preparation there for those high-caliber grapplers, and I think moving forward he can show more of a jiu-jitsu game himself. I could even see a Phil Rowe submission in this fight, to be honest. I think Angelusa is prone to get takedowns just based on his frame. He can kind of bulldoze Phil Rowe over and knock him over. Phil Rowe's pretty skinny. I don't want to say frail, but he definitely looks like he could be toppled over. But I think Phil Rowe, with his grappling experience lately, it'll help him to get back to his feet, maybe find a submission from bottom or something like that. Not that that really happens a lot. But Phil Rowe has very long limbs to the point where maybe it could. You never know. But I think this fight will be won mostly on the back foot with a jab and a teep by Phil Rowe. I think when he is at his best, his boxing looks pretty damn good. And I just think Angelusa doesn't really have that level that he would be able to fight at. Whereas I think Phil Rowe, on his best night, is pretty damn good. Whereas I don't think Angelusa is as good as Phil Rowe is on his best night. So I'm going to go Phil Rowe. I'll take 29-28. I think Angelusa will get around by getting some takedowns and maybe landing a big shot. But I think Phil Rowe's better. 29-28.
I think we're going to keep the clean sweep streak rolling with our first dog of the night. I'm going to go with Phil Rowe as well. I just seem to think that the gap between both these fighters is minuscule, really. I don't think there's a real clear edge towards a favorite in this fight. To Angelusa, I want to say is like 10-4. Phil Rowe's like 10-5. I reckon Phil Rowe has more well-roundedness to his game. Lusa can get top control and can try to fence ride and strike. He's not bad. He's decent with his output, at least early on. But I think Rowe's more dangerous. Honestly, yeah, and with the hands, especially with the reach and the power that he presents, I think he's actually more dangerous on the feet. I think he's more dangerous on the ground. He's got a significant reach advantage in this fight. I think that the jab's going to be open for him. Just the overall tempo and the pace of the fight, I feel like Phil Rowe is going to kind of set. I think he has the option of grappling if he wants to, and even if Angelusa wants to attempt takedowns, I feel like Phil Rowe can turn those into optimistic situations where he could potentially find a submission or even get a reversal and end up on top and land ground and pound of his own. So yeah, I'm going to go with a Phil Rowe decision. I feel like he just has more ways to win, more ways to score points, more well-roundedness in his game overall, as well as having a pretty significant range advantage in this fight. So I'm gonna go with the Phil Rowe decision, and it could be close. I could see it be a relatively close fight. I could see where like Lusa maybe narrowly edges out the first round, and then in the second and the third, Phil Rowe kind of picks up the pace. Just kind of mixes up the stat sheet altogether. Gets a little bit of control time, maybe even gets a takedown here or two, maybe a submission attempt, and even decent pace with the total strike count. I feel like you can just kind of compete everywhere in the fight, so I'm gonna go with Phil Rowe.
Our next fight of the card, bantamweight scrap between Ricky Simón versus Cameron Smotherman. Originally, this was Ricky Simón versus Charles Jourdain. Cameron Smotherman taking it on short notice after he fought a couple weeks ago and lost to Surrey City. Just that in itself isn't the greatest timetable to be taking a fight, to be honest. Cameron Smotherman, I do think he's pretty good with a camp, and sometimes even without one. Like we saw against Jake Hadley, he did dust him up pretty easily. But Ricky Simón is totally different than Jake Hadley. He's huge, hulking. He's got a lot of power for that division. I think that's one of his most underrated things. I think he hits like a fucking truck for 135. And he's got the wrestling background to fall onto as well. He's powerful, and I genuinely think lately Ricky Simón's been putting fuckers to sleep. He knocked out Basharat. People forget, man. He put Jack Shore on his ass too. Not that that aged great, but I genuinely think Ricky Simón has some real power behind his hands. And I think if he connects with Cameron Smotherman early, he could KO him. I think Cameron Smotherman's boxing is really good, but I think he doesn't have much in the way of kicks or wrestling. He's not going to be shooting takedowns or anything like that in this fight. He's a lot smaller than Ricky is. Like I said, Ricky's kind of like a hulking figure at 135, whereas Smotherman's kind of small and skinny, is the way I feel about him. He kind of looks like he could go to flyweight, to be honest, even. So, whereas I feel like Ricky could never make flyweight. He could never even dream about doing that. And there's something to be said for the speed of Smotherman as well. He's very, very good with his footwork, and maybe he can dart in and out on Ricky, but I think he needs more camp for somebody like this. Ricky's a tough bastard, and I just think I don't trust Smotherman's chin is a big part of it as well. He got chinned by Charlampos Gregorio, whose ass on the Contender Series. And I think, to be honest, I think Gregorio's probably on the sauce, but he's still ass. If Gregorio can find that shot, Ricky 100% can too. And I'm going to pick Ricky by first round knockout. I think Smotherman's game plan here has to stay on the back foot and take it in later into the fight where he can pepper Ricky and just win on total strikes. Even if the crowd boos, you got to avoid direct conflict with Ricky. It's got to be jabs and calf kicks, which I don't see too much of it. So I'm going to go Ricky Simón by first round KO. We'll see what happens, but with a guy like Ricky, I think you're going to need a couple weeks, and especially if you're a guy who's on the lower rank of bantamweight who just lost to Surrey City. I'm not the biggest fan of that. So I'm going to go Ricky Simón by first round KO. I think he's going to catch him similar to we did Basharat, kind of like a fake level change, drop a right hand over. So I'm going to go Ricky by first round KO.
I'm going to agree with Alex. If this was a full camp, maybe I would have picked Cameron Smotherman, mainly because of the power, and Ricky Simón did get chinned by Uriah Faber, but other than that, he's only been KO'd by or not even KO'd, just lost to great names like Song Yadong and a couple other good names that I can't really think of off the top of my head. I just think, Vinicius Oliveira and Mario Batista, those guys too, yeah. He's only losing to decent names. The only one I could say that's bad was like I said, the Faber one, but other than that, dude's really good. Ricky's very underrated, in my opinion, in certain aspects. I'm going to go with decision here. I think Ricky's going to get takedowns, and I think there will be a moment where Cameron Smotherman may do something good, but I don't know. I just don't like the short notice in this fight. But I wouldn't be surprised if he did catch Ricky in some aspect of the fight.
think we're going to continue the clean sweep streak. I'm going to go with Ricky Simone here as well. I look at a majority of his losses is against a certain level of competition in the bantamweight division. He's losing to like Mario Batista, Rob Font, Vinicius Oliveira, Song Yadong. I think these are all like the upper echelon of 135. Cameron Smotherman, I think, is a good boxer, good footwork. He's a good striker, but I feel like on short notice is a tough style. And I saw on UFC.com he has like 57% career takedown defense. Ricky Simone averages like roughly 5 takedowns per fight. I think his gas tank, his wrestling upside is big in this fight. Smotherman is primarily a boxer, in my opinion. That's his brand of striking. I think that Ricky Simone's going to be looking for takedowns at will in this fight. He's trying to take away the range from Smotherman, take away the footwork, and kind of make it a grimy, physical fight. Smotherman, his best path, I think, would just be to like use your footwork, try to stay away from takedowns as much as possible, and just stick behind the jab and move. Try to emulate what Mario Batista was able to do, but I think it's just a tough ask on short notice. I'm going to go with a Ricky Simone decision where he's able to just get his takedowns, get his control time, and win off that.
Another clean sweep across the board. I think that's every fight so far. We'll see if it sticks. Moving on to our next flyweight fight, Jose Ochoa versus Cody Durden. This is a tough fight to predict because Jose Ochoa is so new and Cody Durden's been around and done that for the most part. He's fought a lot of people. But honestly, I think I could see this being close, but I think I'm going to go Jose Ochoa here. I think he's underrated. I think he's shown us that he's at a similar level to the likes of somebody like Loner Kavanaugh. And I think with time, he'll prove that he's good as well, and he could have his own rise up the division. And I think it could start here with Cody Durden. I think Cody Durden, he's very reliant on his takedowns. He's gotten his hands better lately, and he's kind of fallen in love with them. And I don't really like that for Jose Ochoa, who I view as the better striker in this. And I think Jose Ochoa will show good takedown defense as well and be able to keep it mostly on the feet and win on the feet. And I think the UFC is more interested in promoting a flyweight from Peru than they are an American wrestler at this point, who's kind of been around and done nothing with his career. And I think Jose Ochoa is just one of the guys that's gonna be a representation of like the evolution of the flyweight division, and I think he's gonna win. I think he'll go to the cap. I think his combos are gonna look cleaner than Cody Durden's is, who starts as a wrestler. And I think best thing Durden could do is start wrestling early, but him falling in love with his hands, I don't think he'll do that. And I think Jose Ochoa is probably gonna win the first round and win another round based on the striking. And I'm going to go Jose Ochoa. I'm going to say 29-28. I think the prospect gets it done over the vet.
All right. I'm gonna piggyback what Alex said. I do agree with what he said. I am gonna go with Jose Ochoa. Cody Durden just hasn't been as good as he originally was when he was on the come up. Like, dude was decent. I'm not saying he was like a future champion or a future like top contender or anything, but he was pretty decent. And people were kind of calling him comparing him to like a Colby Covington of flyweight a little bit with his I sent this guy back to China thing and all this other stuff. Some stuff that you would hear something compared to Colby Covington about, but to be honest, man, he's been chinned a couple times and he's getting older. I don't like that. If I'm gonna pick Cody Durden to beat somebody, it can't be against a dangerous matchup like Jose Ochoa. Jose Ochoa has been finishing people and submitting people. I'm going to go with Jose Ochoa by I'm gonna go with submission. I think he's gonna sub him. If I'm not mistaken, I think I've seen Cody Durden like leave his neck open, susceptible to like ninja chokes and Darce chokes to stuff like that, because when he does shoot, he does leave his neck open. He does present his neck open to certain aspects. So I'm gonna go with second round submission here by Jose Ochoa.
Yeah, I'm going to keep the clean sweep streak rolling. This is a tough fight, though. Cody Durden is a solid veteran in the flyweight division. Fairly well-rounded in his own right. He's known primarily as a wrestler, but he actually has a little bit of a striking background to him as well. A little bit of an amateur boxing record or something along those lines. I don't know if it's amateur or pro, but he has a boxing background as well. He's not the worst flyweight in the world, but at the same time, he's not necessarily top 10 material either. He's in that fringe area where I do think he does have skills. He does have good cardio, decent striking for a wrestling background. And my main thing for Cody is the durability, because I've seen him have a fight where he was in a zen state against Bruno Silva and still get finished. And that's not great. I do hear what Alex was talking about in terms of Cody liking his hands a lot as of late. If he's not implementing a wrestle heavy game plan, I think Ochoa is a tough out on the feet. Even though he lost the Loner Kavanaugh fight, I thought he looked good. He even had a moment in the second round, I want to say, where he hurt Loner, and I think I could be wrong. I think he went for like a choke. Did he? Like he went for a submission attempt, I think, in that sequence, like in the second round when he hurt him to the body or something. It might have been getting. I think Loner got a takedown or something, but he went for like a guillotine or something along those lines. But he had a moment in the second round. But going back to this fight, I think Ochoa is not a small 125er. I think if he defends the takedowns, it's his fight to lose on the feet. Power, speed, size, I think, are in Ochoa's favor, as well as youth. And this is pretty much on Durden. If Durden doesn't have a wrestle-heavy game plan, I mean, he's susceptible to getting potentially finished here. I think I'll go with a decision, but I wouldn't rule out an Ochoa knockout. I think Ochoa displays good takedown defense, and he's the more just overall better striker in every aspect. Speed, power, ability to take a hit, everything. Defense, footwork. He defends the takedowns, it's his fight to lose. I'm going to go to an Ochoa decision.
Moving on to our next fight of the card, a bantamweight scrap between Malcolm Wellmaker and your boy, Chris Moutinho. I don't think it's a secret here. I have to go with Chris Moutinho. You know, I gotta go with Malcolm Wellmaker. He's actually pretty good. He's very tight with the hands. He's got really good timing, and I think that type of stuff is what can make champions. I'm not saying he's going to be a future champion. I think he's a little older than I'd like him to be for bantamweight. I want to say he's like 30 or 31, like right around his debut, which I'm not the biggest fan of. But nonetheless, that means he came in pretty damn prepared, I feel like. And he's very disciplined. He throws shots at the right time and at the right range. Like I said, very good timing. And I think against Chris Moutinho, he can have a field day. I think he can look really, really good out there against Chris Moutinho. And I can see him knocking him out in the first round with some big power shot. Chris Moutinho's tough, though. I could see him hanging in there. But I just genuinely don't think he's going to be able to hang with Wellmaker's power. I think once Wellmaker puts one on his chin, he'll probably go down, and he'll probably get TKO'd after that. Or maybe the ref will just call it. You never know. The ref's done that a couple times to Moutinho in the UFC so far, the few fights that he has had. So I'm going to go Wellmaker. I'm going to go first round KO. I can see him getting that left hook off again. And yeah, Chris Moutinho is just kind of going to be a victim out there again, like he was against O'Malley. First round KO, Wellmaker.
I think I'm gonna go with Wellmaker here. I'm gonna go with first round TKO. I just think I think the GOAT, Chris Moutinho, came back to a bad matchup. But Moutinho has been on a little run, but I don't think it's enough to beat an undefeated guy like. I think he's undefeated. Yeah. Wellmaker's undefeated, right? Yeah, 9-0. Yeah, I don't see him losing, especially in Georgia. I definitely don't see him losing. I think I'm gonna go with first round TKO. RIP to the GOAT.
The clean sweep streak keeps on rolling. I want to say Malcolm Wellmaker is like one of the largest UFC favorites of all time. He's like minus 2,500 or something. It's something absurd. But nonetheless, I think he wins this fight. Chris Moutinho, he has improved since the last time we saw him in the octagon, at least in the UFC. He's had a good low run in the regional scene, but there are levels. And yes, Malcolm Wellmaker's a bit older than you would like for a debutante or just a guy who's like just got to the UFC, but we're seeing guys like Marcus McGee at like 35 near plus. We're seeing guys like Hyder Emil that are like making a run fairly late in their age, but young in their career to certain aspects. So I'm not deterred by him being 30. He's still got a relatively young record. I think he's got good timing, good precision in his striking, and Moutinho's very hittable. So I think a knockout is very much incoming. I'm going to go with a first round TKO. Back-to-back first round knockouts for Wellmaker. After what he did to Simon, I think he's going to do it to Moutinho, and he's going to get a highlight reel KO in Atlanta.
Court McGee versus Michael Chiesa. Yeah, it's going to be boring as shit. It's going to be a grapple fest. I think Michael Chiesa could submit him, to be honest, and I'm going to pick him to do so in the third round. I think Court McGee is just too old, too washed. And Chiesa's been fighting in the rankings for several years now, up until recently. And if you're able to submit Max Griffin, I think you'll be able to submit Court McGee. I know Court McGee's a bit more of a grappler, but I think just Chiesa's more in his prime, better overall, and more slick with the submissions and the grappling in general. So I'm going to go Chiesa third round submission. I'm going to say like an arm triangle or a rear naked choke after kind of just wearing him out and getting the better of him in the grappling situations for 3 rounds. I'm going to say Michael Chiesa submission in the third.
I'm gonna agree with Alex here. I'm gonna go with Chiesa. I'm gonna go with Chiesa by decision. I think this is gonna be a boring fight. I think it's just gonna be Chiesa trying to go for failed submission attempts and be on top now and take control time for 15 minutes. Although I could see him subbing Court McGee. I wouldn't rule that out, but I think it's going to be a boring 15-minute fight.
Traditionally, when grapplers face each other, usually like it's stalemates on the ground, and then it turns into a striking match in MMA. Maybe not traditionally, but at least in the matchups that I've seen, that happens a lot more than you would think when that happens. When the grappling is a stalemate. Court McGee, kind of known for like top control wrestling and just minute winning. Chiesa, funny enough, I would venture to say has the more finishing upside in this fight, being the younger fighter. I think his submission game is more just better overall than Court McGee. Court McGee's game seems to be very control based. I'm gonna go with Chiesa here. Keep the clean sweep streak rolling. I'm just torn between submission and decision. I could see it playing out either way. Mike said it could be a boring fight, grappling exchanges and failed submission attempts that just lead to control time overall for Chiesa. I can see that. I will say though, the last time we saw Chiesa kind of face like a fairly high level grappler, he wanted to strike with Sean Brady. I think Sean Brady's like the best grappler at 170 currently without Islam Makhachev in the picture. If he is in the picture, then Islam is, but If he's not, I think Sean Brady's the best grappler in the division, so maybe Chiesa just didn't want to fuck around with him on the ground. I feel like he won't have that fear against Court McGee. Court McGee isn't as dangerous on the ground as Sean Brady. So I could see Chiesa actually being more willing to go for submissions and stuff like that. I'll piggyback Alex's pick. I'll go with a third round submission for Michael Chiesa. I think the finishing upside's there. Maybe even a ground and pound TKO where Chiesa lands something on the feet, impactful. Poor McGee gets dropped and then he just goes on top and just starts mauling him. I can see that too. But I'll go with a third round submission. Yeah. Clean sweep streak rolling though.
Moving on, a rescheduled matchup between light heavyweights Paul Craig and Adolfo Bellato. I think the first time this fight was booked, I picked Adolfo Bellato, and this is going to be one of the few times where a fight gets rebooked and my pick changes. I'm going with Paul Craig by submission here. I think Adolfo Bellato is stupid enough to put his head in a triangle or armbar. I can just stop talking now and leave, because that's how Paul Craig wins if he's going to win. But I think Adolfo Bellato is not very good. He's done stupid stuff before. He's made draws with Jimmy Crute. He's gotten into a slugfest with a bum, Ihor Potieria. And in general, I've just been unimpressed by Adolfo Bellato. And I think he's kind of just a dumb person. And I just am going to believe he's going to stick his head into an armbar, or stick his arm into an armbar, his head into a triangle. That's going to be my prediction. I think he's dumb enough to go into the ground with Paul Craig. I believe that. And I think he'll get submitted. So I'm going to go Paul Craig by submission. First round or second round. Armbar or triangle. Paul Craig gets it back.
Honestly, I could see Bellato winning. But after the media day that I saw last time when they were originally supposed to fight, I was really thinking about this. I'm gonna go with Craig too. I don't think the streak ain't up with it. I actually don't mind a Paul Craig pick here. Paul Craig said in his interview that this is a fight that I need to win. This is a must-win fight for me. I know people have said that and still lost, but I think Paul Craig is fighting with, fuck man, I need to win this fight or else I'm going to get cut. He knows that if he loses this fight, he's going to get cut from the UFC. And I think he's in a I can't afford to lose type of scenario. I'm gonna go with Craig too. I think I'm gonna go second round sub. We'll go with submission here. I think Paul Craig can pull it off, and I think Bellato could be stupid enough to put himself in there, but I don't know. Something's just telling me to pick Paul Craig here because I don't think we're gonna see the last of him. I think he's gonna stick around.
Yo, Paul Craig hours.
Paul Craig.
Tough fight. Adolfo Bellato. He I can see as to why Alex questions his fight IQ, and he can see himself putting himself in a compromising situation where he could get submitted. We look at Paul Craig, some of his best wins in his career. It's been because his opponent fucked up on the ground. To be blunt, Jamal Hill, Magomed Ankalaev, just to name a few. Those key instances of his career were capitalizing off the mistake of his opponent. If those guys could be stupid enough to make that mistake, Bellato, the way he fights, as reckless as he does, I could definitely see as to why Alex would go in the direction of Paul Craig. I think the power is Bellato. Probably the frame is Bellato. Durability, he does get hit a lot in fights, but we've seen him get absolutely lit up by Pateria and still able to dog it out, I guess. So I guess on the feet, the danger is with Bellato. On the ground, I think there is a pretty clear edge for Paul Craig. I look at a lot of Paul Craig's losses, like he's losing a Bo Nickel. Say what you want, but Bo Nickel is still, at the very least, a high-level prospect. Johnny Walker, I think, is a better athlete than Bellato. Logic would tell you to lean in the direction of Adolfo Bellato. He's newer, less wear and tear, more upside on the feet. But I'm going to roll with the sweeps, with the clean sweep streak. I'm going to go with Alex and Mike on this one. I'm going to say that Paul Craig, being one of the faces of Scottish MMA, is able to capitalize on the mistake of a Adolfo Bellato on the ground. I'm going to go with Paul Craig. I could see Bellato making a mistake on the ground and him capitalizing on it.
Umar Sy taking on Alonzo Menifield. If I'm not mistaken, this is going to be for the rank position or some shit, but other than that, I got Umar Sy, first round knockout. I think Alonzo Menifield's cooked. I think, he's coming off a win against Julius Walker by split decision. I don't really remember that fight, but I don't know, something's telling me that it was highly controversial. I'm definitely gonna go with Umar Sy to knock him out. I just don't trust Alonzo Menifield's chin and the age gap. Umar Sy's 29, Alonzo's 37. Like, that's horrible. I know light heavyweight, it don't really matter how old you are sometimes, but that Alonzo and Menifield ain't that exception of old people that get the job done. So, yeah, I'm going to go with a first-round knockout, Umar Sy.
Yeah, I agree with Mike here. I think Alonzo Menifield is just dog shit at this point, and we've seen that. He had close fights with Jimmy Crute, and we weren't really too sure how good he was, and now we're totally sure that Jimmy Crute's fucking dog shit. And Alonzo Menifield had a really rough fight of the night, pretty much, with forgot the dude's name, Julius Randle. But he was a debuting guy in the UFC, light heavyweight. Yeah, I forgot his name. Something.
Close enough.
Julius Starlianko, I think that's what his name was.
No,
his
his
name
name
was
was Walker.
Ben
Julius
Mitch.
Walker.
Julius Walker.
That was
Julius.
We're keeping it.
I was close.
Yeah, we both fucked up the name.
Julius Randle.
I like it. Keep it.
But yeah, Julius Walker. And he made it a really close fight, and I don't like that. I think Umar Sy is pretty decent for a young guy. He's French. They want him to win. That being said, Alonzo Menifield, I think, he's been around, done that. Umar Sy's French, like I said. You got to take that into account. But I do think Umar Sy, despite him being French, gets it done. He's got better striking. I think he's more technical. I think he's just better. He's more athletic. He's got a better delivery system for his punches. It just looks better when Umar Sy throws a punch versus when Alonzo Menifield does. And I don't think he'll smoke him quite the way Mirzakhanov smoked him. But I think I think we could just see him being better for 3 rounds. I think it'll go the distance. I'm going to say 30-27 Umar Sy. Mixing in the grappling, kicking him, punching him, just being better in every way. I think Menifield is dog shit now. And I think he will be treated like that in there with Umar Sy. So, yeah, Umar Sy, I'm going to say 30-27, wins every round. Menifield looks like shit.
Yeah, I'm going to keep the clean sweep streak rolling yet again. I'm going to go with Umar Sy here. I think he's the younger, more well-rounded fighter in every aspect of the fight. I remember watching the Julius Walker fight with Benefield and thinking, yeah, I'm fading Benefield after this. Walker was able to do good early, but faded late because of being on short notice and having a very grapple-heavy game plan, if I'm not mistaken. Hence, it was being a split decision because I want to say Walker was winning early and then Benefield was able to kind of dog it out late. I think the finishing upside is there for Umar Sy. There's an age gap. Umar Sy is very athletic. I feel like he's very well rounded. I could see either outcome. I could see him knocking out Benefield, like Mike said, or I could see it going the distance and him showing just an overall display of MMA, like Alex said. I'm gonna lean towards the decision just because I don't think C is as much of a sniper as like a Mirzakhanov or a shot finder like that. But I just think pretty much in every area of the fight, Umar is just gonna have the upper hand. Power in brawls, at range, he'll have the speed. In the clinch, he'll have the physicality and the strength. On the grappling, he can get on top and do ground and pound or just get control time. I feel like he can win every aspect of the fight. So I'll go with the dominant decision win for Umar Sy, where he displays an overall well-rounded game. Could see a finish too, but I'll go with a decision.
Yeah, I believe this is for a ranked position. Umar Sy, I don't think he's had a lot of fights in the UFC, but he's undefeated, so.
Right.
Yeah, only 2 fights.
Yep.
Moving on to a middleweight fight moving on to our next fight between Ansar Abdul Malik versus Cody Brundage, who is on another main card. I honestly think this is a pretty tough fight. I think Ansar Abdul Malik is still very much too green to really be taken very seriously yet. That being said, I think him being so young, he's going to be kind of like a sponge and just absorb everything that he's learning. He's a big guy. He's got a long reach, and I think he could make some improvements to the point where he could beat Cody Brundage in this time. 2 shit Codys on the same card. But Cody Brundage, I think, is, he's kind of one-way traffic. You know what he's going to do. He made it a tough fight with an alcoholic part-time fighter in Julian Marquez. And I don't like that. I think Ansar Abdul Malik is young. He's powerful. He's athletic. He's got really long reach. I could see him catching Cody Brundage at some point in this fight, but to be honest, he's still very green. And I could see Cody Brundage winning this. That being said, his fight against Marquez and Brundage fight, was terrible to look at, even though it was pretty fun. You can't be doing that with a part-time alcoholic. So I got to go Ansar Abdul Malik here. I think he's going to catch him at the end of one of his punches and drop him down and finish him. Malik by KO. I think he'll start finally looking good for the first time in his career.
I'm gonna agree with Alex. I got Malik. I think he's gonna finish Brundage. Brundage is shit. Not really else to say anything besides him being shit. I'm gonna keep it short and simple. First or second round knockout for Malik. That's it.
Yeah, I'm going to keep the clean sweep streak rolling yet again. I'm going to go with Malik first round knockout. I just look at Brundage's last 2 fights and he could have, should have got knocked out in both of them. He won against Marquez, but Marquez was indeed lighting him up. And the other fight prior to that, the Abdul Razak Hassan fight, where he got a DQ win, I think. Hassan had a first round KO in his hands and he fumbled it. Abdul Malik, in my opinion, is if not more powerful than both those guys, and definitely a better athlete and overall faster, more youthful fighter. I think he is just gonna absolutely kill Cody Brundage in the first round. But that being said, on the Brundage side, if you're them, wrestle out the gate. You got to get this kid on his back. Take away his if you can't even get him on his back, push him up against the fence. Take away his explosiveness. Neutralize his power. Take away his speed. really make it a physicality type of fight. But even there, I think Abdul Malik is just way more faster, powerful, stronger, just better overall. First round knockout. He's gonna go. He's gonna virally finish Brundage. It's gonna be brutal. He is very green, but like, if Brundage doesn't get a takedown, he is fucking dead. Straight up.
Moving on to our next fight of the card. Cody Garbrandt, another Cody, versus Raoni Barcelos.
It's Garbrandt, Raoni Barcelos. Barcelos is coming off a huge upset win against Peyton Talbot. He kind of out-grappled Talbot, just was the more well-rounded fighter in that matchup, was able to show off his experience and is just veteran savvy, if you will. I don't think that's happening to Cody Garbrandt. Cody Garbrandt's still got really good wrestling, good athlete, good power, boxing, technicality. His biggest problem was always his defense, per se. But I look at the guys he's losing to. I mean, a lot of bantamweights would lose to the people Cody Garbrandt's losing to. He's losing to Rob Font. He's losing to TJ Dillashaw. Who else? Davison Figueiredo. I mean, Pedro Munoz. Like, these are top tier bantamweights, and they all either have good striking or power and durability. Raoni Barcelos, I don't necessarily fear the power he has, and I think durability wise, I think the age is going to be a factor for Barcelos. I think Cody's faster, better boxer, more power, better wrestler offensively and defensively. I mean, unless Barcelos gets a submission, I really think Cody's able to compete everywhere in the fight. He was even doing really good against Figgy, man. Like, I know he got submitted by Figueiredo, but he was holding his own in that fight. He was tit for tat pretty much everywhere with Figueiredo, and even in the current form, I would rate Figueiredo higher than Barcelos. So I got Cody Garbrandt in an upset win. I could see a knockout, but I'm gonna go with the decision. I just think he's gonna display takedown defense, submission defense, just overall ability to stay on his feet and display he's a better boxer and land the better strikes. I think he's going to show us, like, his game overall matured, where he's not necessarily going for broke and trying to take his opponent's head off, but he's, like, setting up his shots, and we just see an overall evolution of his striking where he's not putting himself in dangerous situations where he can get countered or he can get clipped. I feel like he's going to be very measured and very sharp in this fight, and we're going to see a full circle Garbrandt, where he's like taking all of his wins and losses and everything he's learned from all of those moments and capitalize into this performance.
Yeah, I didn't pick for this fight. I thought we were still on the Brundage one. I'm gonna go with Cody Garbrandt as well. I'm guessing we kept our streak. I just don't see him getting knocked out by Barcelos. Barcelos isn't really the guy to do it. Plus, if I'm not mistaken, Cody ate some good punches from Figgy. So if Figgy is not knocking him out, but Figgy did sub him, I do get that. But if he didn't knock him out, which was kind of highly favored more than a sub, I rate that. I just don't see him losing to Raoni Barcelos. This is mainly the type of people Cody would beat. I'm gonna go with Cody by second round TKO here.
Yeah, I have to agree with both of you. I think Cody Garbrandt wins. I think him being the underdog here is just a bunch of people picking Barcelos because they saw the Talbot fight, which I think is silly. Because we all watched that fight. It was a veteran-savvy performance where he mixed in the grappling. That's not going to work against Cody. I think Cody's faster, more powerful. I think he's got great grappling in his own right. Well, great enough to avoid Barcelos' grappling. And I think we could even see Cody go for takedowns of his own. I think Cody's kind of graduated from knocking people out, at least at around his own level. I think he kind of goes to decisions a little bit more now, and he's going to play it a little bit safer in this fight. I'm going to go Garbrandt by decision, because I think he's going to be using his footwork, and it's going to be a very Trevin Jones type of Garbrandt fight. But I think his speed is going to pay the bills, and his reaction time is going to give Barcelos problems, who's kind of just an old man. And I think it's just going to be a case of faster, better, stronger everywhere. And even if Cody doesn't really engage much, I think even if he were to, he would win. But I don't think he will. And I think he'll win kind of like that as well. Just pitter-pattering on the outside using his footwork. So yeah, I'm going to go Cody Garbrandt 30-27, maybe 29-28 on a card. But yeah, Shabazi and Petrosky.
I got Andre Petrosky here. I see that people are picking Shabazian. It's hard to pick Shabazian nowadays, mainly because dude just is a hit or miss. He'll look really good in a fight, and then he'll look very, very dog fucking shit in the next one. I'm gonna go with Andre Petrosky by decision. Maybe it's submission, actually. Hold up, let me see something. I'm gonna go with submission. I haven't liked the people that Shabazian's lost to. I mean, they're not the worst losses in the world, but I think Andre Petrosky got through Gerald Mearshart, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going with Petrosky. I think he's gonna get the takedowns. And capitalize and just maul Shabazian on the ground. But I could see in a world where Shabazian could win by just throwing him. Petrosky has had moments where he just fucking quit on the feet. The motherfucker knocked himself out by just attempting a takedown. Dude's just... To be honest, this is just the shittiest fight to make right now, but other than that, yeah, I got Petrosky.
Alright, moving on. My bad. I think in this fight I'm going to have to go with Edmund Shabazian. I do hear what you're saying. I think Petrosky's definitely going to get him down in the early rounds, and I could see him winning a round. I think it's going to be close. But I don't like that he's kind of a sitting duck, and he has no technique on the feet, and he has his cardio is drained as the fight goes. I think if Edmund targets straights and teeps and body kicks to his midsection, he can lower the gas tank. And like Mike said, Andre Petrosky's a guy who got himself knocked out on a hip. So I'm not trusting that. I think if Shabazian does get back to his feet, he can still be dangerous as long as Petrosky hasn't done too much damage. I think Petrosky will win the first round. I think it'll be close in the second round, but Edmund's going to win on the strikes. And he's not going to be able to help hold down Edmund like he could in the first. And in the third round, Edmund's going to let him have it on the feet on a gassed-out Petrosky. I think it'll be a 29-28 or maybe even a finish in the third for Edmund. I'm going to go the third round finish. I think it's going to be a body-orientated finish with body kicks. And eventually he's going to stop him after softening him up with punches along the fence. I'm going to go Edmund Shabazian by third round TKO. I don't see the Andre Petrosky picking up some of the magic that Sean Brady and Joe Pyfer have. He's always been ass, and I think he's going to remain ass. So I'm going to go with Edmund Shabazian here. Third round TKO.
Tough fight. Both guys don't have the best gas tank. Edmund Shabazian, in my opinion, is very much a dangerous, early fighter. In that first round, he's very sharp, very locked in. But he does seem to fade in fights. I wasn't terribly impressed with his performance against Gerald Mearshart. That was a fight where he literally had a finished gift wrapped in his hands, and he fumbled it against GM3. But if I'm not mistaken, I think Petrosky and GM3 had a very competitive fight as well in the mutual opponent they both faced. But you know, Petrosky's at a good gym right now. Marquez MMA. They have a lot of momentum with Pfeiffer and Brady, as Alex alluded to. Sabatini's gotten a big win against Joe Anderson Brito this year. That gym's got a lot of momentum right now in Philly. I think Shabazian's the better striker. I think he's more dangerous early on. I would venture to say, in my opinion, the winner of the first round in this fight is going to really tell us a lot in terms of who's going to win this fight, because I feel as though neither guy is great really facing adversity per se. Anytime where the fight's not going like according to their plan A game plan, they're not really great on the fly adjusting, in my opinion. And their gas tanks specifically are a reason to point towards why they're not able to adjust accordingly mid-fight if things don't go according to the plan. Like, I think Shabazian wants to get the striking going early. I think he wants to set the tempo, set the pace, and just the overall range of the fight and dictate that he's going forward and he's the guy landing the big shots. And I think Petrosky wants to, land his takedowns at volume, display that he can get his opponent down to the ground and get into dominant positions where he can get ground and pound or even set up a submission. So I do think the winner of the first round of this fight is probably going to win the fight, honestly, the way that these two fight, the way their gas tanks are, and it being only a 15-minute bout. A round of a 3-rounder is literally 33% of the fight. So that's not exactly near 50%, but that's a bulk of the fight. Like, that's important. So I would venture to say the winner of the first round is going to win this fight. I'm going to go with... and this is tough, because originally I wanted to go Andre Petrosky, but hearing Alex's breakdown, I could see a world where Evan Shabazian is locked in early and is able to land dangerous shots and inflict serious damage. But I'm going to go with Petrosky. I'm going to stick with my original pick. I think he's going to get his takedowns. I think he's going to take away the explosiveness of Shabazian early. If he's able to get takedowns in that first round, it's going to make me feel really confident about my pick, because I don't think Shabazian's great facing adversity, and I reckon the gap on the ground is more significant than the gap on the feet. I could be wrong. This prediction could blow up in my face and Shabazian could first round KO him, but I feel like if Petrosky's able to not get first round KO'd and even win the first round, with his style, it's going to be more decision oriented than Shabazian. So I'm going to go with a Andre Petrosky grimy decision win, where he's able to survive a scare in the first round and wear out Edmund Shabazian to a potential late finish, but I think I'll go with a grueling decision win. Another underdog for me in the card. So far I got Petrosky, Craig, Rowe, and I think that's it.
Petrosky's the dog?
Yes.
I got a feeling Edmund gets it.
Yeah, for him to be minus 200, the odds makers had to have been telling themselves, like, okay, like early on, Petrosky's hittable. If he doesn't get the takedown, he can get fucked. Like, I can see it.
It's a close fight.
It is. Like, both gas tanks are shit. I think both guys kind of crack under adversity, but I feel like whoever wins the first round is probably going to win the fight, and especially if it's Petrosky. If he's able to get Edmund down on the ground that first round and take away his explosiveness, I feel like he's just going to wear Edmund out.
He needs to continue to get him down, though. He's got to make it a grappling fight.
Yeah.
Petrosky kind of gasses out regardless of what goes on.
Yeah.
So he needs, I feel like, get the first two.
Yeah.
I rate Edmund's gas tank more than I do Andre's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Andre has a grappling game, which is Edmund's notorious weakness.
Right.
Co-main event. Rose Namajunas taking on Miranda Maverick. I'm gonna go with Rose Namajunas. I think this is the type of fight where Rose just wins against. I don't know. Miranda Maverick isn't really that impressive to me as a fighter. Yeah, she's only losing to like decent names and stuff, but I don't know. I don't really rate her style, and I saw that I remember that she almost lost to Andrea Lee too, and Andrea Lee's fucking dog shit. I know Rose hasn't really been herself lately, but I think she's gonna get the job done. I'm gonna say, in women's MMA fashion, a unanimous decision win.
Yeah, I gotta go with Rose Namajunas here as well. I think she's just higher level than Miranda Maverick is. We've seen Miranda Maverick lose to other girls in the past that I view as less than Rose Namajunas. And I don't think it'll be any different here. I think Rose Namajunas is faster. She's got the better footwork. And I think, honestly, she's probably got the better jiu-jitsu if it comes to it as well. I'm not sure if Miranda Maverick has the better grappling or not. She's probably the more physical out of the two, Miranda, that is. But I just don't think she's on the level of Rose, and I think Rose can kind of just be on her bike all day and kind of pitter-patter, and I think that's what she'll do. And I don't have a lot to say here. It's women's MMA. I think it's just kind of clear. You know, she'll be able to pitter-patter, move around. I don't think Miranda's on the same level as Rose, and I know Rose isn't as good as she once was, but I still think she's good enough to beat somebody like Miranda Maverick, who's like number 14 or something like that. But yeah, I'm going to go Rose. I'm going to say dominant decision. 27. It's good, Ron.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Thug Rose here. I think Miranda Maverick is kind of one-dimensional. I don't really rate her striking. I feel like she's very wrestling reliant. Yeah, I just think Rose defends the takedowns, just shows she's a better striker. Although, I will say, coming off the Aaron Blanchfield performance, that if there's a way Maverick has to win the fight, that is the way. But that being said, I just gotta go Rose. I mean, you gotta beat her. So she looked good in the Manon Fiorot fight, even though she lost. She had a broken hand and she was able to make it pretty competitive. If Maverick doesn't get takedown, she's a sitting duck on the feet. I don't see how she competes on the feet with Rose. So we'll see how it goes. But I'll go with the Thug Rose decision win.
And now moving on to the main event, which is a fight I think most people will agree on as well. You got the former champion Kamaru Usman versus the contender Joaquin Buckley. Joaquin Buckley's been on a tear lately, whereas Usman's been tearing his knees. Usman's last time we saw him was against Hamzat about over a year ago at this point. I just think, at this point, Buckley is really, really, really good. He's improved greatly before our eyes. He's got a lot of power. He's got great takedown defense. He's probably the strongest guy in the division right now. And Usman's getting older. At one point, he was the man, but I think he's getting older. He has to face the younger generation now. And I think even if Usman was champion, a guy like Buckley is his nightmare matchup, somebody who can stuff the takedowns and somebody Usman doesn't want to strike with if he can help it and cannot take down. I think he'll have a better job. I think he'll do a better job than Colby did against getting the takedowns, and I can see that result in him getting out of the first round. But I think Buckley's going to go feral for that leg. I think he's going to go for them knees, and I think it'll open up the punches for him and the big shots, and I think it'll allow Usman's takedowns to become telegraphed. And later on, I'm saying second, maybe third round, I think Buckley's going to catch him and knock him out. I think Usman, at some point, is just going to have to regrettably strike with Buckley, and Buckley's going to start catching him. And I think Usman's just going to go down. I don't think Usman really has the grit, maybe, that he did once in his career. He's been a podcaster for a while now, and he hasn't really been active, which has been his calling card and his MO while he was champion. And I think, when you have a fighter that's super active, and then all of a sudden, as they get older, they stop being very active, I think that's a big warning sign. Because we haven't seen Usman in a while, and activity was his thing. And now I feel like he's dealing with the injuries. He can't keep that active schedule like he once could. And he's going to come in to a hungry, strong guy who's in there to knock him out. And I think that's what will happen. I think Buckley's going to walk him down, and he's going to KO him. I'm going to say in the third round, Buckley's going to chin him. And Usman's probably going to retire. I'm going to go Buckley KO, third round.
I'm gonna agree with Alex here. I got Buckley on this. I think Buckley is just on a career path right now. Potentially, he has been a future champion in the making, possibly, but we'll have to see what happens in the future. I'm gonna go with Buckley. I like Joaquin Buckley. I've been saying it since his welterweight jump. Tony and Alex can vouch. I thought he was going to be a bright future in the lights in the division. I'm going to go with a second round TKO. I think Usman will have a good startup of what he's going to have. I think Buckley's going to stuff every takedown known to man, but I think Usman's going to look decent somewhere, and people are going to have a feeling like, oh, looks like Usman still got it, and this and that. But I feel like we're going to miss little moments in the fight. I think Buckley's going to chew up the legs of Usman. I think he's going to tear his legs apart. And then I think the damage is going to start setting in the second round, where he just destroys him there. And I think it will lead to Usman landing a panic shot and Buckley catching him coming in and knocks him out or TKOs him. Yeah, I know it may not sound like the most realistic finish, but something's telling me that Buckley's going to get a highlight reel finish in this fight.
Yeah, this is a true passing of the torch type matchup between a former champion of the division in the past era in Kamaru Usman, the Nigerian Nightmare, and the surging new contender in Joaquin Numansa Buckley. It really does feel like a passing of the torch moment. I think Kamaru Usman is a top 3 welterweight of all time, obviously given the accolades and the accomplishments that he's been able to do in the welterweight division. That being said, every athlete has their prime and their heyday, but then there comes the decline, and he is in the midst of his decline. I think they're at 2 completely different crossroads of their careers. Buckley's on a multiple fight win streak, surging, nearing his crescendo, whereas Kamaru Usman is declining, fading, and it's been a long time. It's been a while since he last fought. I feel like everybody's still invested and infatuated with his performance against Khamzat Chimaev on short notice, which granted was impressive. You could argue it was a draw for Usman, but that being said, I feel like we're kind of overrating that a little bit, and this is a completely different style matchup entirely. I've said it for the longest. I think Joaquin Buckley is going to do his best work against grapplers. Bilal Muhammad, Gilbert Burns, Sean Brady, Kamaru Usman. The grapplers of the welterweight division, I think Joaquin Buckley is the perfect style for those types of fighters. I feel like he can stuff the takedowns. He has a clear physicality edge in a majority of those matchups. He's in his prime athletically. He's got good boxing for MMA standards, good head movement, overall movement in general. Underrated kicking game. He has legit versatility in his kicks. He's got high kicks, he's got body kicks, he's got oblique kicks, stomps, you name it. I feel like that's going to be a weapon he's going to feature in this fight. I feel like he's going to go after the knees of Kamaru Usman. As we all know, Kamaru Usman, like, there's a sequence in his championship fight against Colby Covington the first time when he hurts him late in the fight. Him sprinting to Colby Covington was like him power jogging. That's how fucked up his knee cartilage is. That's like a known thing we know about Usman, that he has bad knees. I feel like Buckley can attack those with stomps. Um, Everywhere in the fight, I think it's very much dangerous on the feet for Buckley. The boxing exchanges, the kicking at range, in the clinch, I could see him landing elbows off the break, or hooks off the break, or uppercuts off the break, you name it, knees up the middle. I feel like there's just so much more devastating versatility to his game. Whereas Kamaru Usman, it just kind of feels like it's straight punches and a jab for the most part. Maybe an occasional overhand here and there. There's no kicking game. There's no mix-ups, there's no setups, there's nothing for me to worry about outside of the straight punches if I'm Joaquin Buckley. And I could see him using his signature head movement to slip and counter. I could see him doing a multitude of different strikes. But I'm going to be outlandish. I'm going to be bold. I think Joaquin Buckley is going to land the Impa Kasangane kick and knock out Kamaru Usman in this fight. I think he is going to press up on Usman, push him back with a sidekick up against the fence, right? And Usman's going to catch it, because being a wrestler, that's like your natural instinct. Catch a kick, trip them into the takedown. And subsequently, I think Buckley is going to realize that he has the opportunity to catch lightning in a bottle twice. And he is going to pivot, spin, and unleash a brutal sidekick to the chin of Kamaru Usman. And he is going to do something that we all thought was impossible and top the Leon Edwards head kick knockout for one of the most, influential knockouts of all time. I think he's going to recreate the Impa Kasangane kick KO this weekend against Kamaru Usman, and Joaquin Buckley will leave the arena having known that he not only had one of the most influential viral knockouts of all time, but he would have landed it against two champions in their respective promotions. Impa Kasangane was the light heavyweight PFL tournament winner, and Kamaru Usman was a welterweight champion in the UFC. So I think Buckley is going to land the Kasangane kick in the third round, after probably a close first two rounds, but I think Buckley's going to win it on strikes. I just feel like it's his fight to lose, honestly. He's in his prime. He's younger, better overall movement, power. Unless Usman lands a perfect straight, I don't see it. I do not see a world where Usman is controlling Buckley with the grappling. I just don't buy it. I think, like I said, I think Buckley's going to have his best matchups against the grapplers. I think it's the strikers of 170 that can give Buckley problems. To an extent, Ian Gary. But JDM, Shavkat, Michael Morales, these are guys I'm looking at where I would pick them potentially over Buckley. But the grapplers, I think, is money for Buckley. I think he does phenomenal against Brady, Bilal, Usman, Covington, Burns. Those guys. So, I'm going to go to Joaquin Buckley, third round, Impa Kasangane TKO kick. He catches lightning in a bottle twice, and he becomes a bona fide official superstar. Not gonna lie, I think Buckley's gonna become a superstar this weekend. So, that is my prediction. If he lands that kick, I'm gonna feel like such a fucking genius.
That's like 1 in 100 million chance that happens.
I know. I'm rage baiting. I'm reaching so far and manifesting that. I'm manifesting it. I'm manifesting it.
Does Buckley get one of those glazed Tony Trope Instagram posts?
It's definitely gonna be me. Sink and Alex, remember when I fucking posted on my Instagram story verbatim how the RDR Bo Nickel fight went? Fucking how that shit went. That's what I do this for. I do it for moments like that where I go fuck yeah, I called it. Fuck yeah.
That would go hard.
Bro, if he does that, like, oh my god.
Hey man, you got a fair opportunity to self-glaze yourself if it happens.
Fuck yeah, bro. That'd be epic. If he does that, superstar. Superstar if he does that.
That will do it for our predictions today. We will see you next time on the Wartime MMA podcast. Peace.
Go with the second round submission. I'll go with the second round submission.